ओ देखो हो गया फिर दौड़ होगी शुरू देखो किवें जा रहे ने
Can you hear me? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Utkarsh from Microsoft, and today I'm here to talk about, I'm going to start with the construct of India. What they say about India is that whatever you say about a country, the opposite of that is also true. So a recent study by Harvard said that in 10 years, India is going to be one of the fastest growing economies, growing at more than 7%. Now, which means that in 10 years from now, or about 15 years from now, we'll be a superpower. But the reality is, as has been pointed out in earlier presentations, that we are a superpower and we're also super poor. Now, the irony is that we can't really be both. And I think what happens is that the underserved and the overserved, the divide needs to be bridged. So if you look at Digital India, if you look at ePunjab, if you look at various e-governance initiatives, ease of doing business, Make in India, at the bottom of at the premise of all of it is empowering the citizen. And towards that, there are three key elements that one must keep in mind. The first is access, right? Today, our mobile phone coverage is over a billion users. And about 400 million are already connected to the internet, largely through mobile. But what does it mean? Even today, there are loads and loads of areas, even including this particular esteemed venue, where connectivity is a huge challenge. So what we believe is that television white spaces, there is almost 80 to 90% of television spectrum is unutilized. So we can use that using a technology called Wi-Fi and in a way use innovative business models to take internet to the digitally dark villages. So two pilots were conducted, one in Srikakulam in Andhra Pradesh and the other in Varanasi. Both of them proved to be successful. And now to see where we can stretch the boundary of access, we are trying to adopt a smart village in Maharashtra. There's this village called Harisal, which is the epicenter of AIDS and malnutrition. And what we're trying to do is to see what happens when you empower and get access to the people. India as a country is like, we are innovators at heart, frugal innovation, or what we call jugaad, has to somehow evolve into process innovation, and we are inching towards that. So first step is access. And second, let's talk of infrastructure. Now when we talk of infrastructure, the most path-breaking technology that's happened in the past few years is the emergence of cloud computing. Now, cloud computing, we believe, that will democratize computing, will bridge the digital divide, and also lead to new business models. Now, keeping that in mind, Microsoft has set up 3 data centers in India, out of which it plans to offer services. Now, when governments start thinking about cloud, or enterprise start thinking of cloud, there's a mindset shift that's required. Fundamentally. But what is the cloud? Cloud is an economic concept. It's a concept that's used or can be used to better utilize the taxpayers' money. But there are 4 steps that should be kept in mind. First of all, is that connectivity. We have to create access for the micro entrepreneurs, for the small and medium enterprises that are there, and make sure that they are connected, they are into the digital ecosystem. The second part of it is making sure that the data is on the cloud. Why invest in capital expenditure? We are a developing country. We have multiple ways in which we can channel the money. How do we first, governments have to lead the way in this. And Gartner has said that cloud computing is going to be one of the most pioneering uses of technology world over. Now, in India, Punjab specifically, and other states here, I know they're represented from other states as well, have to lead by example. The third is that just data lying on the cloud per se has no meaning, unless and until we can derive insights from it. So we have to mine that data, develop insights from it, and use it to solve problems. Towards that, there are two interesting examples in India that come to my mind. First is that in the state of Andhra Pradesh, we looked at education inequity. There was huge school dropouts, and in the earlier presentation also it was pointed out that why we have India as a country mine their data. And like in Andhra Pradesh government, where Microsoft worked with, we looked at public education data and looked at the factors that contribute to students dropping out. So how about we do the same in Punjab? How about we replicate it in other states as well? Because what we're trying to do, technology for good. We're trying to bridge the digital divide, trying to democratize computing. And finally, I understand that these days, extremism is on the rise. World over, we have to be careful of security, privacy, data sovereignty, and other things. Now, towards that, it's most critical that governments are assured that this data is not going to be misused. So how about, as a starter, we look at RTI available data, publicly give it out, and make use of it. And because Microsoft has set up data centers which are residing in India, so I think security, data privacy, and concerns, I think they are resolved by definition. And this is not the only place, India is not the only place where we have implemented it. We've looked at Europe, the US, largely the government uses cloud computing. If you look at most developed countries where India hopes to be in the next 10 years, according to the Harvard study and according to what we have heard earlier in the room, India has to take that step. It has to take the step forward towards that. And finally is that ecosystem. Earlier, the Honorable Chief Minister and the other dignitaries present spoke about how India can evolve and is evolving into a destination where business becomes more friendly. Punjab is leading the way by being ranked #1 there. But what does the ecosystem become when you bring access and infrastructure and make it publicly available and encourage healthy competition to make it happen? It creates a nation of micro-entrepreneurs. It creates a nation of job creators than job seekers. And that's where we need to go. We are not in a position where we will be able to offer dignified jobs, well-paying jobs to the scores and scores of people who are entering the workforce. In order to inculcate into entrepreneurship, in order to make sure that the ecosystem is vibrant, we have to ensure that the access and infrastructure chunk of the pie is taken care of. Now, with that, I'd just like to finish with 3 recommendations, suggestions that the dignified people in the House might consider. First is, like ease of doing business, competitive federalism is a very interesting model to consider. Ease of doing business now is carried out every state to see where and how the states rank in terms of investment opportunities, building businesses. How about we do the same for states as well? Looking at how are they adopting new technologies? How are they doing on providing IT infrastructure? As Sir rightly pointed out, just putting E in front of various words does not make it tangible or does not empower the people which is actually meant to do. So that's one. The other thing is that we have to be open to exploring new business models. We have to be innovation driven. And most importantly, as Mr. Kalsi pointed out in the morning, we have to be outcome driven. Instead of putting rules and regulations and trying to cripple both the government and the private sector and the public sector, how about we define outcomes and try and build towards that? And what will it all lead to? First of all, in India, technological change will lead to economic change. Economic change will lead to social change. And that's the chunk that's the cycle that we have to follow. Because social change only happens after economic change. And I believe that technology can be a huge contributor towards that. And Microsoft, per se, is deeply committed to making that a reality, working with all of you, Punjab and other states.